You can't look at a person and see them being morbidly obese and think to yourself, wow, they must be starving themselves because they look like they've been starving themselves. It doesn't really make much sense when you think about it. When you look at a person, and depending on how they look, doesn't necessarily mean that they are healthy or unhealthy. Because that's a question that is often brought up when it comes to eating disorders. People will look at me and they'll say, oh, he has skinny privilege. And that's the thing that I've heard a lot from people who don't really know much about me. But I genuinely think that me having the body that I have is not a privilege. Me having the body that I have is a result of hard work. You see, I'm on antipsychotics, and antipsychotics slow down your metabolism and increase your hunger by a lot. That being said, I am not morbidly obese. A lot of people who are on antipsychotics are obese and have diabetes. My doctor warned me about that. She told me that I need to watch my diet. And so I did. And my body, my 145 pound, 5'3" body, is a result of hard work. And of course I faced difficulties on the way. I faced difficulties in the form of eating disorders, of psychotic episodes. But I still move forward. I still live with what I have because I worked hard for it. And even things that don't really make much sense, like the voices in my head, the visions that I see, the psychosis that I endure, it doesn't make sense. But I still try to move forward with it. And you wouldn't be able to look at me and think, oh, he has an eating disorder, or oh, he has a psychotic disorder, or oh, he has anxiety disorder, because you can't tell that by just simply looking at someone. But there is something that you can tell from very basic biology. You see, there's in the world of mental illness, which I talk about a lot, there's something known as anorexia. And anorexia is being below a certain number on the BMI, categorizing you with the intent to purposely starve yourself to the point where you are below a certain number on the BMI, the body mass index. And there is a influencer, magazine artist, I'm not entirely sure what she is, but she, Tess Holiday, has came out and said that she is anorexic. And as somebody who has suffered with mental illness in the past, I wanted to look at this and be like, okay, she may be morbidly obese because she's one of those plus size models. She may be morbidly obese. It may not be the best thing to have, or may not be the best lifestyle to portray, but you know, she does what she does. And I'm trying to tippy-toe around the subject. But essentially what I wanted to learn about was why she thought that she was anorexic. Because there are criteria in the DSM, in the Diagnostical Statistical Manual of Mental Illness. It has certain requirements for anorexia, and I just wanted to go through those requirements and give you my thoughts when comparing those requirements to Tess Holiday. And let me just say, I've had my fair share of experience with mental illness. I've been in 3 mental hospitals, my third stay lasting almost 2 to 3 months. Accumulatory about 4 months, 3 to 4 months. But regardless of my experience in mental health and mental hospitals, I want to talk about how anorexia is portrayed and how the criteria for anorexia applies to Tess Holiday. So I have it on my phone right here. Yes, it's cracked to all hell. You can't really see that. But anyway, the first one is restriction of food intake leading to weight loss or a failure to gain weight, resulting in significantly low body weight of what would be expected for someone's age, sex, and height. I don't think anybody has to stop and think, oh, Tess Holiday is failing to gain weight as the criteria states. I genuinely don't think, okay, let me get this out of the way. No matter what size you are, you can suffer from an eating disorder. I used to be 160 pounds, and that was when I had a big pot belly, and that was after my first hospitalization. In my second hospitalization, I was put on eating disorder watch because I created a habit of purging myself by forcing myself to throw up. And I was put on eating disorder watch because that kind of stuff just isn't healthy for a person and shouldn't continue. That being said, I don't think a person should overeat as well. The only way you would gain weight is if you eat more than your body burns. And that doesn't matter if it's in the term of muscle, or it's in the term of fat, or it's just water weight. No matter what you do, if you are burning less calories than you're eating, you will gain weight, regardless of where that weight is. Maybe it's stomach fat, maybe it's muscle. Doesn't matter. And for somebody who is morbidly obese to be saying, "Oh yeah, I'm anorexic, even though I stuff my face with donuts every single day to the point where I get fat." It's a joke. It's a joke. I apologize right now. It's a joke. But you get the point that I'm trying to make. You know, because you can't look at a person and see them being morbidly obese and think to yourself, "Wow, they must be starving themselves because they look like they've been starving themselves." It doesn't really make much sense when you think about it. Continuing on to the next one, fear of becoming fat or gaining weight. Now, this irrational fear can be fueled by intrusive thoughts, and that can often lead to somebody becoming anorexic, and it can also contribute to developing other eating disorders. Regardless of what you develop, fear of gaining weight prevents you from gaining weight. I mean, look at YouTubers like Eugenia Cooney. She's obviously not doing too well. She suffers with anorexia heavily. And at the end of the day, she's afraid. You can obviously tell by the way that she looks at she's afraid of gaining weight. Look at Tess Holiday. Is she afraid of gaining weight? I'm not entirely sure. And the third one. Okay, I need to pick up my phone for this. Have a distorted view of themselves and of their condition. Examples of this might include the person thinking that they're overweight when they're actually underweight, or believing that they will gain weight from eating one single meal. That is the very definition of anorexia. The fear, the irrational, the intense fear of gaining weight. Somebody who is anorexic isn't necessarily gonna be the skinniest person around. When I was coming off of a antipsychotic called Geodon, I would starve myself because I couldn't keep my food down in my stomach, so I forced myself to throw up, and I would starve myself for a period of time. The entire time that I was on withdrawals from Geodon, it was not good. It was not a good time in my life, and I was afraid of, you know, I was told that antipsychotics will increase my weight. Sorry, there's a car outside. I was told that antipsychotics, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Cut that out. Anyway, I was told that antipsychotics would increase my weight and decrease my, increase my weight and metabolism and increase my hunger. And that was something that I had to live with. It was something that I had to deal with, and I became afraid of gaining weight. That's irrational. I mean, there is a basis in reality, but at the end of the day, just because I had a donut doesn't mean I'm gonna gain infinite amount of weight, you know? And that's what I struggled with. For somebody who is in such a caloric surplus to result in them getting morbidly obese, I don't think that exactly correlates with a fear of gaining weight, because they're doing the exact opposite. They are gaining weight. And if you're afraid of something, why would you perpetrate in it? Imagine this. If you're afraid of being murdered, would you go out and put yourself in a situation where you would be murdered? Maybe you're afraid of death in general, maybe not murder. Would you be standing in the middle of a street, in the middle of a highway, dodging cars? No, you wouldn't. Well, I realize that those are extreme examples, but the point still remains. If you're afraid of gaining weight, why are you morbidly obese? If you're afraid of gaining weight, wouldn't you be doing something to counteract weight gain? You know, like anorexic people starve themselves? Like bulimic people force themselves to throw up? Doesn't really make much sense. Anyway, I would like anybody on here to explain the reasonings as to why they want to defend Tess Holiday. I don't know what her specific diagnosis is, but I know that she mentioned being anorexic, and this video is just my thoughts on the situation. I think it's blown out of proportion, if I'm being completely honest. You can have an eating disorder and be morbidly obese. That's not impossible. But anorexia? I don't know. But yeah, that was my thoughts. I'm gonna go ahead and finish my homework because I'm so behind in college and I do not want to fail this semester. So, I'll catch you in the next one. If you are in an emergency, I have emergency links down below for US and Canada. Also, if you want to DM me, my Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that, social media is in the description below. And I'll catch you in the next one. Ahui ho, malama pono.